In this question, we are going to find and interpret mean and standard deviation. So here we have a small data set. I will pause for a few seconds so you can read the question. Okay, so here we have data for some of the tallest roller coasters in a certain area. And then first question is find and interpret the mean height of these roller coasters. So to find the mean height, we're going to open this data set in StatCrunch. So the first column is just the name roller coaster, and the numerical data is stored in the second column. So to find the mean and standard deviation, we're going to go to Stat, Summary Stat. And then because the data is stored in columns, I'm going to click on columns. Okay. So Stat, Summary Stat, columns. We're going to select variable 2 because the numerical data is stored there. And so mean, so what are the statistics we need to find? Mean. Suppose you want to find one more or more than one statistic, you can press Shift and click on standard deviation, or you can press Control and click on standard deviation. Okay? The Shift will select all the data values from mean to standard deviation. So I want mean and standard deviation only, and then I'm going to compute. So here we have the statistic mean. Mean is 385 feet, and then the standard deviation, which is the deviation of the typical deviation from the mean. So we're going to keep this so we can now we will use it. So the mean is 385. Okay, so we want to select one of the interpretation because this is the sum of the tallest roller coasters in a certain area. So this is the typical height of tallest roller coaster in a certain area. So there's a typical height in the world, and then the typical height in the area, the typical height of the tallest roller coaster in the area. So I'm going to check C and 385. Then we will check answer. Next question is about the standard deviation. Let me look at the answer. Standard deviation is 61.175. Decimal rounded to the nearest tenth. So rounding the standard deviation to the 10th, we will have 61.2. So this is the standard deviation of the tallest roller coasters in this area. 61.2. So the mean is the typical value, and the standard deviation is the typical deviation from the mean. So there's one more final question. The roller coaster 1 was 425 feet high. How will this affect the mean of the standard deviation calculated in A and B? And then recalculate the mean and standard deviation using 425 as the height of roller coaster 1. So the roller coaster 1 was 446, and then if we have to change, suppose there was an error and it was 425, we're going to change it. So make it 425 and calculate again. Summary stat, column, variable 2. We're going to compute the mean and compute the standard deviation. So the mean is actually, this was the original mean. If one data value became smaller, the mean also becomes smaller because the mean in its formula takes all the data values. So the mean has decreased. The standard deviation has also decreased. So the mean and standard deviation will decrease. Okay.